he steps in with the bishop. No repetition.
Whoa!
This is honestly the most insane finish to a chess tournament I've ever seen. And I have to give you some context as to why this is. So it was the Upgrad Mumba Masters playing against the Triveni Continental Kings in the Tech Mahindra Global Chess League final. Now the teams could not be split in normal time, so it went to sudden death. We had 4 games played, all draws because only one board plays at a time. And so it went to this 5th game where we had the junior players playing. So with the white pieces here, we've got Javokhir Sindarov. He's someone I know well, a strong young player, 2600 odd. And then with the black pieces, we had Jonas, Buhl, Bjerre, not a guy I knew before this tournament. Now he's outclassed by Sindarov. Sindarov won 4 times against Jonas. So, you know, he really had his number so far in this tournament. We went to this game here, and if one of them wins, they win the whole thing for their team. Bearing in mind, there's $500,000 on the line for the winning team. Now let's see what happened with the white pieces here. Sindarov kicks off with e4. This is fireworks. Wait till you see the finish. I'm going to bring you the full reaction. So c5 on the board, the Sicilian. We get knight f3, d6, d4, open Sicilian on the board, and we head down the Najdorf variation with this pawn a6. One of the most aggressive, and h3 now played. So many moves for white in this position. This one's known as the Adams attack. And after e5, knocking back the knight, we get bishop e6, and now this is a really rare move. The most common here for white is bishop e3, but we get pawn f4 on the board, kind of combining some Grand Prix attack stuff. And now even more strange in response is b5, but it's the second top engine move. So you allow white to capture, change off the queens, which now happens, ruin the castling rights, but as we'll see, it's not such a big deal here. You know, the queens are off the board, so the king's less exposed being in the center. So the bishop develops, the knight develops to support the other one. Now we get pawn a4. This pawn kicks on. The knight hops into the center of the board. This one can't take, of course, it's pinned. You can take with the bishop and pawn recaptures. However, the computer then gives a half pawn advantage to white. Now look at this. Bishop e7, top computer move. Rook d1, top engine move. And now we see this one captured, top engine move. Both players fully in their prep here. Really amazing to see. Look at the clock times. So we get pawn recaptures. Knight e4 now played, pressuring the bishop on g5. And instead of moving it or capturing on e7, we see pawn h4. Again, top engine move. Does that bishop get captured now? Well, no. Again, we see the top engine move. I mean, this is crazy prep. I mean, I was looking, if you capture, you know, something like this, why would you not win a clean pawn? And apparently, white gets a good game with knight a5. You're looking at some check stuff here, all coming back to c4. There's rook h3 on the cards. Okay, apparently it's better for white. So h6, best move. Bishop e3, great move as well. Both players so well prepared, still in book. Knight a5 now comes, looking to check, pick up that bishop. We see pawn f5, black gets that pawn storm going. You've got 4 on 2 over here. And now bishop d3 develops, knight g3, hits the rook, rook h3 top move. And after pawn f4, hitting this bishop, defending this knight, will now on move 20, finally one of them goes wrong with the home prep. So Sindarov plays knight b7 check. Apparently better than that was knight c4. But okay, he goes for this one, snaps off that dark squared bishop, the king recaptures, but actually the king sits okay there, blockading the pawn, defending this one. That bishop was a bit dead anyway, that was quite a strong knight. And so after bishop f2, black now has a small advantage. We see knight h5, getting out of the attack, also rerouting to f6, where it's going to support e4. So this bishop preempts that pawn push, also opens up the rook here. We get the knight coming back to f6. It was attacked by the bishop. Rook b3 now covers this pawn, but now Jonas doesn't play the most precise move. Apparently best was rook hc8, saying, okay, you take here, I'll take here. and it prevents c3, because after a5, c3 is exactly what we see. Great move by Sindarov, breaking up these pawns. We get captures, rook recaptures. Now white's a little better according to the engine. The rook challenges the file, and this is an awesome grandmasterly move. Rook c6 check, giving up a pawn just to open up this bishop and activate this rook all in one go. So the king moves, the king comes up to e2, and this is the other deep thing. After pawn e4, Sindarov's seen that he can actually activate this king soon when we see this pawn kick on. So bishop d4 preempts this pawn to e3. We get rook d8, not the most precise because it leaves the protection of this pawn, and after the bishop drops back, the rook's got to meekly return, and now pawn b3, and white's just got the edge here plus a slight advantage on the clock. The clock a huge factor now. Pawn e3 played, that's a dangerous passed pawn, but it is blockaded by the king. We get king f3 targeting the f pawn, g5 supports, an exchange occurs, and now pawn g3. Breaking up this chain here, going for this one, so it forces black to take on here, and now the king takes on e3, also looking to target these ones. An open board for the bishop, very, very dangerous. Sorry, losing my voice here. So the pawn kicks on to g2, rook c1 now played, x-raying this king, the knight checks from d5, the king goes, and now king d6, breaks that pin, supports the knight, doesn't take this one for the moment. Rook d1 renews the pin and forces a blunder because king c5 is played, but in the time pressure, Sindarov misses a tactic. Can you see here what white should have played to have a big advantage? So the move you can play here is rook takes here with check. The king recaptures, and then you take this one, and you've got the two bishops plus you're mopping up these pawns here. Should be really good for white. But what we see in the game is the bishop checking, the king steps back, bishop b2, knight b6 played, supporting the other one, the king mops up this pawn, now king e6, king g3, rook c8, and now rook e1 check drives back this king. We see a few more checks, but is Sindarov going to just repeat and draw? No, he centralizes the bishop. Rook c2 invades, rook e5 pressures this pawn, and now after rook d2 attacking the bishop, we see some liquidation. Now the top engine way to play here is with bishop e8 check, king g8, bishop c5. Apparently this is best, keeping the bishop, still targeting this pawn, but okay, this is time pressure. So the bishop captures on b6, knight recaptures, and this pawn drops off the board. And Sindarov is hoping he can squeeze in this endgame. So the rook comes to b2, targeting this pawn. We get rook f5 check, king e6, the rook drops back, covers this pawn, and now the king continues its march in. Rook d3, knight d5 centralizes, the king starts marching over, knight b4 hits the rook, we get check, king goes, bishop c4, knight c6 back, and now the rook starts giving some more checks, drives back the king, in comes the white king, and now watch this for a journey, because the rook starts checking the white king. Where does white go? Well, runs all the way to the queen side, hides behind the pawns. But that king is now trapped in. You know, picture knight b4, rook a2, that's checkmate. So white's got to be careful. We get rook d2 played. This rook slides to the side. King b6, rook back with check, king c7, bishop d5, targets this knight, but wait. Knight b4 comes on the board, hits this bishop at the same time as with the rook, also threatens the mate in one. What should white do here? Well, actually take this pawn, give a piece, but it should still be a draw, you know, with those two pawns especially. But what we see in the game is bishop e4, and this is where we get this incredible, astonishing finish.
And